good, folks? I'm coming to you again one last time for the year 2025. It's been a year. One thing that has been probably the best thing to come out of this year is my reading catalog. I managed to exceed my reading goal. I set my reading goal for a modest 90 books. And I managed to surpass it. Right now, I believe I'm at 149. It is currently December 23rd, so the night before Christmas Eve. And I plan on I have one more holiday book that I want to finish. And then I believe I have one book that I want to complete the year with. And I'm going to take my time. I think it is a pretty thicker book. I've been reading nothing but mostly novellas for the month of December. Most of them holiday novellas. So this last book that I'm going to read for the year, which will take me to 151, I'll put up on the screen. I think I'm going to drag it out for the rest of the year. That's going to be my read for the rest of the year, I think. And I have it in physical copies, so those tend to take me, I don't know why physical books tend to take me a little bit longer to get through. I think because I have to actually put them down when I'm doing things, whereas when I'm listening to audiobooks, I can like wash the dishes, clean the house, do my chores, whatever. I can do that and still listen. I'm still reading. I'm still engaging in the story. So anyway, so that is the last book I'm going to read for the year. I believe. I say that and then I'll end up, I'm not going to read anything else. That's going to be my last book for the year. I'm going to take my time with it. And yeah. So anyway, let's get into why I actually showed up here. So it is holiday time. So I am using my iPad for reference. I have a few holiday reads if anyone wants to indulge. Some short reads before the holiday season is over, or even after, it doesn't matter. So let's get into it. So for holiday romance stories, some quick holiday romance stories that I think you guys might love. Some of them are new to me, and some of them are stories that I revisited. Let's see. So let's start with the ones I revisited. First up is Christmas with the Rights by Christina C. Jones. Their Christmas short stories is like almost like an anthology of like an update for her Wright Brother series. If you haven't read that series, definitely need to do that if you're going to read this Christmas story, because it's an update on the Wright brothers, their significant others. And if you've heard of her Love Sister series, the Love Sisters are also mentioned in this story because they are related to the Wrights. Next up, which ones did I revisit? Another revisit is Love Me for Christmas by Be Love. That one is an interesting one. It's about a matchmaker who is very particular about the type of love that she wants for herself. She is a single matchmaker, which is interesting in itself, but the way the story unfolds is quite interesting, and I'll let you guys get into that if you decide to. Next up is another one by Christina C. Jones, A Touch of Sugar, is a part of her Sweet Heat novella series. This one is a forced proximity type of romance. Also, it is book 3 in the Sweet Heat series. It's not necessary that you read the other 2, but if you want more context, I would suggest reading the other 2 first before you read this one. Next up, we have Gingerbread Wishes by Tay Russ. This one is kind of like an instant chemistry. It's a very quick read about an acquisitions executive, you could call her. She's returning to her hometown on business. She meets a man, and yeah, all goes from there. And it's, like I said, it's a very quick read. Nothing too deep there, but it's cute and definitely worth the read for the holiday. Now, the rest of the ones I'm mentioning are new stories that I got into this season. And I'm so glad. Like, there were so many holiday stories to choose from this year. Probably years before, but I had, this is my first time actually really diving into new holiday stories. So this was I definitely was not disappointed. In no particular order, we'll go with Layover as the first one. Layover by D.L. White. This is a one bed romance novella, or only one bed. Obviously, layover. They're both on layover, trying to get to somewhere for the holidays. And yeah, they get trapped. There's only one bed. If you know, you know. Next up, we have There's No. I want to say There's Snow One Else by Nina High. I've been so deep in her catalog this year. She's a new to me author this year, and the amount of books that she's released this year alone, crazy. The amount that I've read this year alone, crazy. I think she's the #1 most read author this year for me. So yeah, there's that. But yeah, this was another cute. I mean, they're all cute, but yeah, that was another cute one. And most of them were not most of them, but a good majority of them were like snowed in in a storm type situation. I believe that one was like that too. They all start to melt together at some point, but it was a good one. Next up, The Blizzard Pact by Koya Wilson. That it was a unique. I find it so fascinating how you can take a trope that you've read that people have read so many times, or take a storyline that people have read so many times and just make it something completely unique. The Blizzard Pact was definitely that. Another one where they're snowed in together, but the context is totally different. There's online dating, neighbors. I don't want to give too much away. Read it, please. That was such a good book, or such a good story. All of them are short, so I'm not going to keep saying just another short one, but yeah, it was good. Home for the Holiday by T. Lynn. This one was actually published a couple of years ago, I think, but this was my first time reading it. Also a very good one. That one, a little more on the emotional side, if I'm remembering correctly. I'm not going to think too hard about it. Just read it. And I also will have my blog posts mentioning all of the top 10 holiday reads, Black romance holiday reads. I'll have it linked below so you all can get the full list. And also link my Instagram if you guys are into visuals for the story, like the characters, the settings, and all of that. I usually do all of that on Instagram. So I always have my Instagram link, so if you ever want to go over there or see what type of content I'm doing there, I always have that linked in the description. Next up is When the Time is Right by Renee A. Moses, another first author. Like, this is my first time reading this author. It was really good. This was a friends to lovers romance, I believe, which I'm always a fan of. Some people don't really care for the friends to lovers, but I really like. That's one of my favorite tropes, and that was a good one. And last but certainly not least, I could have swore I had more than this, but I think these were my favorites of the bunch. Last but not least is Stranded with Bay for the holidays. That's a spicy one. They're all spicy. I never mentioned that, hardly ever mention that, but if I am mentioning it, it's because there was a lot of spice. It's a lot of spice in that one, so tread lightly if you're not into that type of story. But it was also really good. Another one where they're, like she said, stranded. They're stranded. They're traveling separately. They don't know each other at the beginning of the story. Both on the same plane. I think they end up on a layover. Oh my God, this was so funny. It was such a funny story too. Like, the main characters were just funny, and the circumstances they found themselves in was funny, but also emotional but funny. It was just really good. It was very layered, and I like that. And for the fact that it was a novella, I love authors that can do something very magical with in such a short time span in a novella story. So yes, that was very good. And this was also my first time reading this author. I didn't even say what author it was. C.K. Tarver. Tarver? I hope I'm saying that right. Yes. So those are the holiday stories that I wanted to mention to you guys. Hopefully I'll have this up at least tomorrow, the day before Christmas. I have to edit. Hopefully I don't have to do too much editing and I can get this up the day before Christmas so you guys can actually enjoy it on Christmas Day. I just looked back at my notes on that, or on even the book description on it. I can't believe I forgot. I've been reading so much stuff. I'm just like, anyway. Charge it to my head, not my heart. That was such a good book. So, like I said, they were snowed in. They were trapped. But the premise, I'm telling you, that's the caveat. That's the thing I'm talking about. The way authors spin that storyline into something unique is a gift. Truly a gift. The book's protagonists are exes. So they are snowed in at a hotel where they both were a part of a wedding. She is the hairstylist. He is the groom's best man. They haven't seen each other in 5 years, and they're ex-fiancés. So yeah, that was very good. It was very good. Yeah, definitely a must read. That was a really good book. Okay, now now I'm moving on to my best of 2025. So I have them broken up into, let's see, 4 categories by their category, basically. So in women's fiction, and this is going to go quickly because I'm not going through every single book description. If I'm mentioning it, it's because it was 5 stars. It stuck with me, and I would highly suggest you read it if you haven't already. So I'll leave it at that. All right, so first category is women's fiction. Starting off, no particular order. We have Beautiful Broken Love by Shanora Williams, which I've probably already mentioned on this channel. How to Lose Control in 42 Days by Brooklyn Mosley. The Divorcetante by Mia, I'm going to say her last name wrong, but please forgive me. Hintzelman? You're going to see it on the screen, so please forgive me for saying that wrong. Missing Persons by D.L. White. That is a young investigations novel. I'm assuming there's going to be more to that in that series. The Young Investigations. That was okay. I said I wasn't going to do it. I'm not going to do it. And lastly, in the women's fiction category is Winter, a Love Story by Noreen White. Finally found a it's Black romance, but it's much more than that. A male Black romance writer that I really love. So I'm really excited about that. Noreen Love. I'm locked in. We're locked in. So I'm going to be I also read Autumn, which is it's a sister book. I mean, you have to get into his aesthetic to understand. They're not connected, but they are, Yeah. yeah, you have to get into that. So there's autumn and winter. I read them backwards. You should read autumn first and then winter. But I think winter stuck with me more, even though autumn was pretty dope too. So let's just say autumn and winter on that list of women's fiction. And I don't know if they're all categorized as women's fiction. But for me, those books dealt with a lot more with the female character and her character development, and as well as the love story of it all. So that's why I consider it women's fiction, especially the Divorce Étante and Beautiful Broken Love. All of them really, but those two, yeah, for sure. Next category, urban romance or urban fiction. We have The Last Man on Earth, which I'm sure a lot of people have read and loved because it was that good. Lucid Dreams by Oh, I didn't say who wrote The Last Man on Earth, written by Shay Sanders. Lucid Dreams by Lady Nisha. Don't Keep Me Waiting. Well, actually, that whole series, the whole Armani Sister series by T. Lynn. Let's see. And Perfect Rhythm by A.C. Taylor. That is the urban romance / urban fiction section. Next, we have contemporary romance, the Three Kings series by A.E. Valdez, who was also a new to me author this year, who, yes, I've read every single one of her books at this point. But that was my favorite of hers. So that series was my favorite. So that's why that got my top contemporary. Next up, the newest addition to the Mason. Is that the newest edition? Maybe not the newest edition, but yeah, I think it is the newest addition to the Mason family series. And One for Me by Ashley Nicole. Next up, we have Unexpected Past by A. Blossom. That is a sports romance. Candid Memories by Charity Shanae. That one I haven't mentioned. I know I've probably mentioned before too, but that was really good. That was another one where they were snowed in at a hotel, but the circumstances were crazy and so good. The Teachers of Harwood High series by Nina I, which has brought me over the top with her being my most read author this year, because that's like 6 or 7 books deep, maybe 8. I haven't read them all yet. I have one more to read that was recently released, I think earlier this month. So I still have to read that one. I'm not sure if that's going to be the last one, but yeah, I have that one left to read. Next we have, Wrapped in Heat, a Evergreen Falls novella by Tay Russ. I think was the first time I read about Black folks in Alaska, and I thought that was cool. And I always love Tay Russ's stuff, so she's gonna always be mentioned no matter what she puts out. Next up, we have Definitely Not a Thing by Christina C. Jones. That was so funny. Inevitably Love by Love Belvin. That is book 2 in the Complicated series. I think I mentioned the first book in this series last year, or maybe earlier this year, I don't know. But I definitely read it toward the end of last year, I think in November. Excellent series, must read. And last but not least, the Love and Scrub series. Yes, that was my contemporaries. And last but not least, the magical realism section or category. There's only 2 books. The first is Maybe in This Lifetime by Asia Monique. And of course, A Love Song for Ricky Wilde, which I've made a whole video about, which will be either linked up here in the cards or definitely linked down below at the end of the video, where I leave what to watch next, whichever way it is. But yeah, That love song for Ricky Wilds by Tia Williams. I said that one was probably my #1 favorite book that I read this year. I think it's competing with The Last Man on Earth for #1, and I cannot for 100% say which one is the #1 spot. They're definitely fighting it out for #1 because they were both so unique and so good, so well written that it's tough to say which one is my #1 favorite, but those are definitely my top 2 favorites. Put it in whatever order you like. That is all that I have for you guys this evening. And yes, it is evening for a change. Oh my gosh, it's officially, technically officially New Year's Eve, Lord. Christmas Eve. It is midnight now. So that's probably why it's quieted down slightly. It'll pick up again here in a little bit. But my house is sleeping, so I'm going to lower my volume a little bit. I just want to say thank you to the folks who have been rocking with me here on YouTube. There's a few of you who stick around, and I appreciate you so much. What the future holds for YouTube, who's to say? I think that's pretty much a lot of people's stance on YouTube these days. We'll see. Maybe other people are more organized than I am. I am not. I come to you when I have inspiration, when I have, a plethora of things to recommend to read in Black romance, because that's just what I do. If you have any questions, as usual, you can drop them in the comments. Any comments, drop them in the comments. Any suggestions, drop them in the comments. I'm always open to questions, to suggestions, to constructive criticism, to book recommendations. I think one of my goals for 2026 in books and reading, maybe to expand a little bit on what I'm reading. So not just romance, maybe diversify a little bit. If I get some good recommendations, maybe, but that's always going to be my priority. Black romance, preferably indie, but not just indie, because a lot of indie authors are getting some shine in the traditional avenue of publishing. So I'm going to keep supporting regardless of if they're publishing indie or traditional. So yes, shout out to y'all for getting traditionally published. I know how hard it is out here to be a writer, so I'm going to support either way. All right, I'm done with my tangent. I hope you all have a wonderful holiday and a blessed new year. I will see you all in 2026. Peace.